In this section, we'll cover small talk. If small talk makes you feel anxious, you're not alone. That's extremely normal in interview situations, especially if you're not speaking in your native language. So here we'll go some of the typical phrases that you might use. But first, as a general piece of advice, keep the language to a level that you feel comfortable with. Focus your efforts on improving your language skills to speak very specifically and clearly about your achievements and the other topics that we've discussed in this course. For small talk, stick to what you're already comfortable with. I hope that this section can be a review or a confirmation that what you would normally say is okay and you can just move on. Again, don't try to make the small talk more advanced. Simply listen to these phrases, practice saying them out loud so that on the day of the interview, it feels like they roll off your tongue and you are comfortable. With that in mind, let's look at some examples. Here's how your interview might begin and finish. Hi, it's nice to meet you. That's pretty standard and there aren't big variations here. So there's no need to get creative. And let's jump straight to the end. You'll also say, it was great meeting you. Or you can use other variations of that. Thanks so much for your time today. It was great talking to you. And then you might say, have a nice day, have a good afternoon, have a good week, or have a good rest of your day. Again, that is all quite standard. But other parts of the small talk will change a lot depending on you and your particular circumstances. Will you be meeting a person? Are you living in the same city? Do you know the person who will be interviewing you? So, if you've traveled for the interview, let's look at an example of what you might say. I just got in this morning. Early morning flights are the best. You beat the traffic and you're ready for a productive day. Instead, in the interview is on video conference, you might say something like this. Oh, it's 8 p.m. here. I just finished a really productive call with a client, so I'm feeling good. Maybe you have enough information to also be more specific. By the time you get to the interview, you may have written some emails back and forth with the interviewer or a colleague of theirs. And if they've shared any information in those conversations about themselves or about the company and events, you can show interest by following up. For example, you could say something like, you mentioned you had an off-site conference last week. How'd it go? Or, you must be busy with the finishing touches of the fall collection. Am I right? Whatever you say, the tone should always be light and positive. Keep in mind that you might have room to choose the direction that the conversation takes. So use that to your advantage. Talk about the things that you feel comfortable with and that you're happy to share with them. There's no need to try and impress your interviewer by talking about things like the stock exchange or faking interest in sports if you don't actually know or care about these topics. In general, you should also try to match their tone. If they're friendly and share some personal information like what they did on the weekend or what their plans are for an upcoming holiday, you might want to do the same. Let's see an example of what that might look like. I usually play soccer on the weekends. We have a team with some friends from college and work. We're actually playing the final against our client's team this week, so the pressure's on. Or you might say, I moved to a new apartment a few weeks ago, so I've still got a lot of DIY projects around the house. Painting is hard work, but it's coming along really well. You might also mention current events in the city or in the news, especially if it's related to your field. Let's look at some examples of that. Have you read the book on Tesla by any chance? I just got it and I couldn't put it down. Or, I just drove by the new Unilever campus on my way here. It's impressive. Finally, be prepared to show your interest when the other person is speaking. Body language is key, of course. Making eye contact, not fidgeting. But you can also respond with short phrases. Let's see some examples. That's so interesting. That sounds fun. It sounds like you have a lot going on. In general, if you're comfortable saying phrases like the ones we've seen in this section, you're ready for the small talk that may come up in your interview. If you don't feel comfortable just yet, you can watch this video again and you can use the language sheet to practice saying some of these phrases or to plan your own personal ones.